Myself and my team use it for ideation. It's very good for coming up with just general ideas. A little bit of background research, of course, double check, triple check everything that it kind of spits out as well. Because I think we're both aware of kind of some of the stuff that it comes out with isn't 100% correct. But it's a great way of overcoming writer's block. So if you're staring at that dreaded blinking cursor for a little bit too long, sometimes it's good just to get the old creative juices flowing. So that's kind of what we use it for in-house. It's very good for, just coming up with new ideas and stuff. What we don't use it for is actual content creation that's published ready. So kind of everything that we write, we write as people. Kind of, I don't think that it's at the point yet where it's ready to go live on anything. But it's a great way of speeding up the writing process, I think, for sure.
Welcome to the Agents of Change, the podcast experience you've been waiting for your entire marketing career. Search, social, mobile, AI, blockchain, and neuromarketing. These are the Agents of Change, and so are you. Digital marketing success awaits, and your transformation begins now.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Agents of Change podcast. I'm your host, Rich Brooks. This is episode 505, powered by Flight New Media. Yeah, now that the 9th annual Agents of Change digital marketing conference is behind us, our sponsorship goes back to my day job, running Flight, a digital agency that I started over 26 years ago, offering branding, web design, paid search, SEO, social media, and more. I need to apologize to those of you who like to have fresh content from us every week. I've missed not one, but 2 weeks in a row, almost unheard of on this podcast, which has been going on for over a decade now. I'd like to say it's because of the AOC conference, and in big part it was, but we had a few guests that needed to reschedule, and I let our interview reserves drop too low. The good news is I recorded 4 interviews this week and have a half dozen scheduled over the next few weeks, so we won't be missing any weeks going forward, at least for a while. It's hard to believe that AOC 2023 is in the past, but it's true. I mean, there's still more work to be done. We're finishing up the on-demand videos, sending out some wrap-up emails, paying all the bills to all the places and people that made this possible. You know the drill. Plus, I'm going through tons of video and photos to find the marketing material for our next conference in 2024. We don't have a date or place yet, but it's likely going to be in early October again, and definitely here in Portland, Maine. People asked me during and then shortly after what my impression of the event was. And honestly, I'm still not sure yet. Even though this is our 9th time doing it, it's always a new experience. New speakers, new topics, new attendees. It's just a different vibe. And this year was especially different. Because of the pandemic, it had been over 4 years since the last Agents of Change digital marketing conference. We put on the event in a new space this time around. We did single track rather than do breakout sessions. We put on the workshops in a different new space. We asked local businesses to be the people introducing our speakers this year. We tried some new things, some that will become part of AOC moving forward, others that probably won't be making a second appearance, but that's okay. It's important to fail. If you're not failing, then you're not trying and you're not growing. If I'm being truthful, now that it's a week in the past, I think it went really, really well. Although I haven't gone through all the surveys yet, it looks like people loved the diversity of the speakers and the caliber of the speakers that we had. Some people missed breakout sessions, but the majority seemed to prefer single track, which is interesting. I didn't think that would be the case. People seemed to be split on Aura, which is where we hosted the event, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great vibe, and the AV and technical people there were spot on, the best we've ever worked with. The only thing that I really noticed was that the people who were in the balcony seemed to stay in the balcony, so sometimes it felt like there were 2 separate audiences, not one, and that could kind of lower some of the energy in the room. But we're going to try and address that if we end up having it at Aura next year. My favorite memory, as so often happens, wasn't actually at the event. It was post-event, at a little restaurant near where the speakers were staying called North Point. About 11 of us, Most of the speakers and a few friends crammed around the table right before closing time, sharing stories of the day, talking about business, and discussing opportunities for all of us to work together. I turned to my girlfriend Gigi and told her, this is what I live for, bringing together these kind of people and then just seeing what happens. Although every year is great and every speaker group is great, I was really impressed by how well this particular group of speakers meshed. Most of them had never met in real life before or even online. Unlike typical social media events, I pull speakers from different industries and different speaking circuits, so it's always a gamble if they'll hit it off or not. This year, there was incredible camaraderie, and I know that many of them are putting together plans to work together in the future, and that's just amazing. In fact, another highlight was discovering that Greg Gifford's flight home was canceled. I mean, I felt bad for him, but I felt good for me. He was only able to come in late night, right before the conference, well after the speaker's dinner had ended, and he had to leave right after lunch after he spoke in the morning. Once he was here, he kept on saying how much he wished he knew how kick-ass, his words, not mine, the conference would be, and he wished he had stuck around for a couple of days. Someone up there must have heard and canceled his flight. That led to him sticking around through the event, through the networking, and through the late night that followed, and his energy was really infectious and just added to the entire event. I mean, I don't want to single Greg out. Everybody was amazing, but he definitely brings some amazing energy to the event. Anyway, enough on the after party at Agents of Change. It was an absolute blast, and I hope that next year you can make it. Portland, Maine is beautiful this time of year, and it's well worth making the trip. Oh, and if you wish you had seen the content for Agents of Change, we are selling the on-demand videos. We recorded every single session, 9 high-powered presentations for just $149. That's under $20. It's actually under $17 per presentation, each one chock full of amazing, actionable strategies that can change the trajectory of your career and your business. Just visit our website at theagentsofchange.com and grab your copy while they're still available, because they're not going to be available forever. But now let's jump into copywriting in the age of AI and what you can do to stand out and create copy that connects. My guest today is the founder of the Content Lab, a white label copywriting and content marketing agency that helps digital agency owners get their time back, keep their customers happy, and increase their profits. With the help of her talented team in Ireland, she partners with digital agencies across the world with their copywriting needs. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use AI when creating the type of content that gets you engagement, traffic, and sales with Abby Wood. Abby, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here.
We're excited to have you. Now, obviously, you didn't start copywriting using AI. So when did you make it part of your toolbox? And was there like an aha moment where you suddenly knew this is going to be part of the process?
Yeah, I think, well, kind of originally, we first heard about it in November of last year. So that's 2022 for anybody listening to this way in the future. Yeah, kind of that's when it first got on our radar. And kind of we started to play around with it and see what it's capable of, see what it's not quite capable of, and figure out exactly how it can speed up our processes a little bit. So yeah, we've had a few months of playing around with it at this point.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your process. Are there places where you love to use AI and other places where you just don't let it touch the copy that you're writing?
Absolutely, yes. So kind of myself and my team use it for ideation. It's very good for coming up with just general ideas. A little bit of background research, of course, double check, triple check everything that it kind of spits out as well, because I think we're both aware of kind of some of the stuff that it comes out with isn't 100% correct. But yeah, it's a great way of overcoming writer's block. So if you're staring at that dreaded blinking cursor for a little bit too long, sometimes it's good just to get the old creative juices flowing. So that's kind of what we use it for in-house. It's very good for, just coming up with new ideas and stuff. What we don't use it for is actual content creation that's published ready. So kind of everything that we write, we write as people. Kind of, I don't think that it's at the point yet where it's ready to go live on anything. But it's a great way of speeding up the writing process, I think, for sure.
You mentioned you and your team are using this. Did you run into any roadblocks or any pushback from your team when you said, hey, this is our new SOP. We're going to be using AI moving forward? Were there some people who were like clutching their pearls and refused to do it? Or was everybody like, yeah, sure, let's do this?
Honestly, and I'm known for being honest, all of us were clutching our pearls and not too keen on it. I'm probably the one of the most anti-IA people you will ever meet in your entire life. Kind of, I got into copywriting over a decade ago. It was there weren't as many tools as there is now, for sure. And I'm a big believer in human creativity and the human touch. So, kind of, I think we're using it in the background of just coming up with new ideas and, kind of shortening kind of the research process 100%. It's also great for creating SOPs as well. But kind of, there was definitely some pushback. I think a lot of copywriters that have been in the industry a while, definitely pushing back on it for sure.
So I know that one of your things is about creating authentic connections. So how do we create authentic connections when we're using AI? Is this a help or a hindrance?
Honestly, this may not be a popular opinion. I think it's a bit of a hindrance for sure. Kind of, I think it's a good starting point, but it's kind of the content is only as good as the person creating it. I think AI is definitely, it's a great way of speeding up the process and optimizing things. But I think kind of you definitely need that human touch. And especially kind of with authentic content that's uniquely you, kind of AI cannot replicate kind of your unique selling point. It cannot replicate your unique voice and tone unless you're spending hours and hours and hours training it up. And still then it's never going to be 100% you, especially kind of if you are outsourcing to other copywriters, it's not going to replace copywriters anytime soon. Good copywriters anyway.
All right. So what are the tools that you use? Are you just using ChatGPT or are there other tools in your AI tech stack?
Oh, that's pretty much it. I'm hearing great things about the Surfer SEO AI kind of add-on. I haven't given it a go yet, but I have heard very good things. We did try out Jasper as well, but kind of wasn't a fan of it. Yeah, I think you're only as good as your own internal processes, and kind of the tool is just a supplement to that. But at the moment, yeah, we're just using ChatGPT to come up with a few ideas and stuff.
It's interesting because there are so many tools out there. And a year ago, there were a lot of AI tools specifically around different types of copywriting. I was just listening to an AI marketing podcast today, and they were talking about the latest iteration of ChatGPT. Is there a need for these fine-tuned machines? Or is it just going to be like ChatGPT, what Google comes up with, and what Microsoft comes up with, and we'll ultimately end up going with those three? So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on it. Kind of, I think how many search engines are there in the world? And yeah, most of us only ever follow Google. I think it's kind of the same thing, kind of one will dominate the sphere, and then the rest will kind of be very niche products used by niche companies.
Makes sense. So you mentioned earlier about the hallucinations, basically when ChatGPT and other AI tools just make things up because they need to kind of finish the loop, or they feel that they're doing us a service by finishing. What are some of the ways that you avoid hallucinations in your own copywriting?
You know what? I was chatting with my team today, and my wonderful content writer, Kelly, is friends with an English teacher, and kind of she's just opened up to the world of ChatGPT and stuff. And she was writing a paper of Mice and Men. And she asked AI, can you give me a few quotes, create a few questions around the novel? And it just straight up invented quotes from the novel. She was like, that isn't in the book. That is not in the book. So it's funny. Yeah, kind of. It's definitely, there's a lot of hallucinations coming out of it. I think, yeah, it's just double checking, triple checking things, kind of making sure that you're creating content that, it's difficult to kind of avoid hallucinations. And it's one of the main reasons why I'm not a huge fan of creating content using AI. I think it's a great starting point. It's great for getting rid of the blank page. But for sure, we want to be doing our own research. We want to be kind of fact checking everything. It's very difficult to avoid kind of just spitting out fake stuff.
Right. And especially when you get into technical writing, scientific writing, or things where people's health or well-being may be placed in jeopardy if we don't get the facts right, that this definitely becomes a bigger concern.
Honestly, I think there are certain niches and industries that just shouldn't use it as it is right now. Kind of in the future, when it's improved, go for it. I'm good friends with an agency owner. She's a copywriting agency, and they specialize in medical manufacturing. And they just straight up won't touch it because the stuff that it brings up, just kind of you're talking legal issues and health issues as well. So there's definite challenges with a lot of industries using it.
Absolutely. And I think this is why there's still a role for humans in this process. I mean, hopefully there always will be. But the idea where it's like you need that human expert at the end of the day to make sure that the information that AI is pulling in is accurate, is safe, makes sense, is in the right voice, and all these different type of things that we need to be concerned about when we're copywriters, content creators, what have you. The tools will probably get better over time. And I've definitely written a landing page or two by taking a spec sheet from a client, feeding it in, and within that one single loop, getting good stuff for a page. But I don't know that I would trust it to necessarily go out and do the research and bring it back for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you can feed it all the information that it needs, then you have a much better chance of getting something that is close to publish ready than, say, if you were just relying on it in general to create everything from scratch. It definitely needs a good solid head on it, human head on it, to kind of feed it what it needs and to figure out what is suitable and what isn't. And again, kind of with the proliferation of so much content now, I think it's more important than ever that companies are putting their own unique touch on things. So whether you are creating stuff using AI, you want to be putting in your own unique voice, your own unique points of view on top of whatever you're publishing as well. So, if you want to be pumping out a lot of content, fair play to you, but just make sure that you are adding something of value to that to better connect with your audience and also to help you stand out as well.
Now, as a white label agency, as a copywriter for other companies, there's a lot of different voices that you must have to adopt as you start to create your content. Has AI helped in that way? Are you using it all to create personas or just to be like, here's our ideal customer, let's framework out a blog post or something for this type of client?
I've seen quite a few people have fantastic frameworks for creating user personas. Right now, off the top of my head, I can't remember the names of any of them, but it is very, very doable. It's very useful for when you're creating the foundational messaging and kind of figuring out exactly who the user persona is and what connects them to a company and what motivates them. It's great for figuring that out for sure. And it cuts down the amount of legwork needed as well to create user personas. That is one use that I've seen used very well using AI for sure.
When you're not using AI, how do you adopt so many different corporate voices that you have to speak in?
I get asked this a lot. So I think we have about 70 digital agencies that we work with at the moment. So we tend to partner with them long term, and they'll have their own clients that we write for as well. And that is a lot of unique voices and a lot of different industries that you have to get really familiar with. Honestly, a lot of it is experience. So kind of we have a lot of processes in-house and a lot of cheat sheets of like, this is the type of language that they'd use. This is the type of language they wouldn't use. We're big believers in brand archetypes and that kind of thing of just figuring out exactly the type of language that each client would use. So we do have kind of cheat sheets almost on each client that we work with, just to remind us if we haven't heard from them in a month or two, this is exactly what they like. This is what they don't like. I think a lot of it comes down to having empathy and understanding, which kind of any good copywriter should be fluent in, because, kind of good copywriting gets to the heart of the matter, and selling is on the emotional level, first of all. So it's really understanding kind of the target audience, but also the company that you're writing for as well. So there's a lot of different moving factors in there, but yeah.
Curious if you've ever used AI for any grammar checks at the end. I like to think that as a English major, I'm pretty good when it comes to, and I also know when to break the rules. But have you ever dropped in something to ChatGPT at the end just to make sure like the grammar was correct or you didn't have any typos that maybe Word didn't pick up or anything like that?
We have very stringent kind of proofreading going on in-house. So kind of we have a dedicated editor called Mia. She's absolutely wonderful. She's our human editor. We use Grammarly as well. Grammarly has AI kind of built in now. Kind of, it can be a little bit hit or miss sometimes, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And yeah, kind of, I have run kind of the occasional landing page through ChatGPT to see kind of what it can come up with. I have noticed like it's great for catching spelling errors. So a lot of our clients would be in the US. We have some in Australia. We have some in the UK and around Europe and stuff. And switching between kind of all the different types of English, sometimes the occasional S and Z will get mixed up or something like that. It's very rare, but sometimes it does happen.
Sure.
And yeah, exactly. And AI is great for catching human mistakes, I think, sometimes. So that's
And is SEO part of what you offer to your clients, or is that something that's on them and their marketing team?
Oh, absolutely. I think good copywriting is kind of right for the humans that are reading it, but also for the search engines as well. Because if Google can't find it, the human readers won't be able to convert on it. So yeah, we combine two. It's an art and a science, to be honest with you. So the art is obviously the human side of it, and then the SEO side of it is definitely the more scientific stat-based stuff.
And have you found a role for AI in the SEO component of things, or is that more old school keyword research and getting the words from the client, things like that?
It's a big old mix of stuff at this point. Yeah, full disclosure, is a big mix of stuff. So obviously we do the keyword research. I've already mentioned before, we're big fans of Surfer SEO. So kind of using their optimization tool is very, very useful. Kind of they do have the AI aspect as well. We've used a little bit of that, but not the full kind of AI rider on it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Surfer's optimization kind of skills. So literally kind of you can do the research yourself with whatever tool you're using, write the piece, pop it into Surfer, and kind of it'll give suggestions of where to put keywords that you may not have considered, or just, kind of random keywords that you may have missed in your original research.
Awesome. And I guess basically when it comes to AI and creating copy that connects, I believe you run some sort of workshop in tone and voice. Am I getting that correctly?
Yeah, we do run voice and tone workshops with our clients. We have two different versions of it. So we do have kind of a general brand messaging one, and then we have the big foundational one that's for larger size organizations and government bodies and stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm most passionate about. That's my personal joy of content strategy, is figuring out a company's core values, their foundational messaging, and then kind of you can build everything on top of that.
So what do people get when they join this workshop? I'm just curious.
So yeah, there's a lot of deliverables there. So kind of we do a deep dive into kind of if they already have kind of messaging, if they already have an online presence, where it's missing the mark, where they feel that it needs to be updated. And then we go and do our magic, and we do the mission, the values, we do the kind of the outline of their programs or the services. Kind of if it's a certain package that we sell, kind of we do all of their online bios, we do kind of their LinkedIn profiles, all that good stuff. So it's just ensuring that you have consistent messaging around kind of your core brand foundational messaging as well.
All right, I want you to look into your crystal ball or put on your magic hat, look into the future. Do you think that we're going to get to a point, maybe in the next year or two, where you're going to be able to take all the work that you've created in a voice and tone workshop by working with you and plug it into a ChatGPT or similar tool and have it write more on-point copy? And if so, is there still going to be a place for somebody to get in there and be a human and humanize that content? Or are we going to get to a point where really it's like, if we set the machines up the right way, they should be able to create 90 to 95% of the content?
Rich, what are you trying to do to me?
Well, there'd still be value in there for you because you'd be still leading the workshops. I'm just curious to know if you think there is a tipping point where maybe we're going to have to rethink some stuff for ourselves.
Honestly, I think it's already revolutionized the industry by kind of cutting out a lot of the lower quality content creation, for sure. The old school content mills and stuff, I think their days are gone already. There's no doubt about that, for sure. I think that high quality kind of copywriters and brand messaging experts will never go out. I'm hoping anyway, will never go out of need. And that was great English. I'm really selling myself right now. But you know what I mean? I think that there may be a point where kind of you could definitely feed in the strategy behind everything. And feed it into kind of AI, whether that's ChatGPT or whatever, and it could create kind of like a website out of it. I mean, there's already AI that can build entire websites. But I think kind of that human touch, that human element is what differentiates companies online. Kind of it's exactly the same as comparing like a Wix web builder that somebody's DIY'd themselves and, kind of is a one pager and the logo is kind of funky up in the corner and, kind of the contact us button doesn't work, to kind of like a boutique agency that's doing fantastic work and is kind of everything works perfectly and looks great and, attracts the right type of customers and stuff. So I think there's going to be two markets maybe. So, kind of, I think there'll be kind of the very talented copywriters and wordsmiths still employed, hopefully. We'll check in 5 years, Rich. We'll see if it's come true or not.
Yeah, I think there'll always be a place for copywriters, marketers, whomever, PR agents, doctors, lawyers of a certain caliber. And I think what we'll probably see is that the people who were at the bottom half will be leveraging AI to get even to that 50% mark. I think it's going to be a little while longer before we have to start learning how to drive trucks. So this is awesome. If people want to learn more about you, if they're interested in your voice and tone workshops or maybe checking out some of your work, where can we send them?
Check out our website, which is thecontentlab.ie. It's .ie because we're based in Ireland. Yeah, that's where you can check us out and see if you like what we're advertising. see if the copy's any good.
Sounds good. Abby, thank you so much for coming by today and sharing your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me, Rich. It was lovely to chat for a bit.
For a full transcript and summary of my interview with Abby, just head on over to our website at theagentsofchange.com/505. And remember, if you did want to catch any of those sessions that we put on at our annual conference, you can buy the on-demand videos. They are high-quality 3-camera productions with the slides in there. You'll get the transcripts. You'll get summaries. It's an amazing package of information. Go to our website at theagentsofchange.com, and in the registration page, you will be able to grab access to all of those videos. As I mentioned, I've been recording a ton of great interviews with digital marketing experts this week, and I have a ton more to go. I don't want you to miss any of them, so make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting platform. And remember, you are an agent of change.
Don't miss another thrilling episode of the Agents of Change podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.